lubricated library. We live in a great, wet library where each book is a house. Our city is this great, lubricated library. And we live in book houses. Here you can choose where you came from. Here nobody drags books around on their cracked backs, on their destroyed shoulders, on their big swollen heads, or on their overflowing aces. Nobody keeps the books that they never agreed to keep. In the great, wet, soaked library, we can write our own legacies. We decide what goes in. Here we invent our past, our present, and our future. We decide what to bring in and how to transform it, how to transport it. In the great, soaked, lubricated library. Some have the most luxurious hair. We roll in it and secretly revel in it. Some are dressed in scissors and they never take them off, not even to shower, and definitely not to fuck. There are others who can patch everything up later. Some have big boots and they like to crush softly, crush slowly, crush lustfully, crush everything. The objects break under their heavy boots and make deep, loud sounds. This makes the arm hair stiffen, the mouth hair stiffen, and the pubic hair stiffen. Some others are like old chimney spaces, smoke spitting out of their thick nose holes and their toothless faces. On the roofs of the lit-up books, they keep their places, looking through the thick, suffocating fog as time retraces the pages.
In the
Great, wet, soaked, lubricated library,
there is no such a thing as a sedentary lifestyle. Everyone loves moving house, loves carrying boxes in their naked hands, loves carrying them at arm length and on the tiptoe. Never forget to go down, then to come up, to go in, then to go out, and to sweat a little while doing it. To always go a little deeper, together sharing our insides. The book houses are always moving at the same rhythm as our beating hearts. Sometimes very fast.
Fast.
And sometimes very slow.
Slow.
With every second essentially offering a new cartography that makes no sense to immortalize or to explain. By moving house, we gain new qualities, and sometimes we lose the old ones. We can never know ahead of time, and that's what makes it exciting. Exciting! 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 What is good is that the rent for the house books never changes. Never, never, never. No raising rent, no mean real estate choreographies. Apparently, before, you had to pay to live somewhere. But, luckily, here in the great, wet, soaked, lubricated library, in the book houses, living has always been free.
It's never night in the
Great, wet, soaked, lubricated library.
night,
Night, night.
And also, sometimes, it's never day.
Day, day.
It depends on what season it is inside of the
Great fat big wet book.
which we all get into together before drifting off. Before our eyelids fall from our eyes, like in a protective spell. One that makes us dream dreams in which we actually rest.
Dreams that caress the soft walls of our brain.
Dreams like long kisses on all of our wettest parts.
Dreams we can rub up against.
Dreams we can live in forever.
Cuddling on their insides for our entire lives.
Dreams where it's possible to imagine the words that our bodies recompose and decompose. Each book house has a title, which they wear with pride and happiness, even when the title is mean or so scary that it makes us wet the bed. The title tells us what might change in us if we came and lived there. If its words surrounded us, wrapping around us, imprinting us. At the beginning, we lived in the house book of shame. It was amazing and uncomfortable, exhilarating and anxiety-inducing. When we lived in the house book of shame, our genre was
Exhausted.
in the
Great, wet, soaked, lubricated library.
There are a multitude of genres, plus more when we decide to combine them into an infinity of possibilities. Or sometimes we just decide to change them. Today, we live in the house book of trash, and our genre is on the verge of an immediate and definitive total collapse.
The night day sets rises over the great, wet, soaked, lubricated library, giving us a view of its sweaty landscape. we have secreted so many fluids over so many hours, reading so many of the stories that we had written earlier, that the great, wet, soaked, lubricated library is completely drenched. Liquid has sipped from our underground mouths.
Foam has emerged from our drooling counts.
Water has dripped down our rushing torsos.
Tears have rushed from our glazed eyes. If we venture to open a book, then the book, stuffed full of our fears,
Stuffed full of our values.
Stuffed full of our tears.
dripping, sweating, oozing, stealing, slowly opens its little heartbreak-shaped mouth and vomits whitish, slightly thick liquids into our faces, penetrating us with an intoxicating feeling that we never want to end. We realize that our underwear is totally dripping. And for a second, the great, wet, soaked, lubricated library looks like a giant pair of underwear, kind of dirty and absolutely dripping. And it's impossible for us to think about anything else than
penetrating and getting penetrated.
Drenching and getting drenched.
soaking and getting soaked.
Stuffing and getting stuffed.
And so we decide, in total serenity, to start the grand ball of the upper and the lower, to throw ourselves in head first and with all of our feet behind us, dancing above and below, to jump with eyes closed into the Circo Massimo, without ever really knowing who's playing who's playing what.
Then come very, very, very many long months of endless waiting. When we finally give birth, after having got pregnant from our strap-ons, from our gaping holes come the super tiny, so small,
So cute.
So extra dirty.
bloody covered books. But here, there's no need for doctors or surgeons. Everyone helps everyone else push out their books, and it goes really well. Often, a whole group forms around the ones who are in the middle of the pushing out books, participating in the show. Once they're out, we push our books around in strollers.
They're such precious little treasures.
We take them to the park and look on sweetly as serious sentences fill the formerly blank pages. It is true that it's also a little annoying to sit there like assholes, just waiting on a bench. Luckily, in the great, wet, soaked, lubricated library, when we ask, what time is it? It's always happy hour. A nice little very cold drink. Ah, that's better. Now our hearts are back in it.
And here is the story of how it all began. Our
Great, wet, soaked, lubricated library.
our archive world, our book houses. Once, before going to sleep, one of the inhabitants told it to us, reading from their
Very, very great, huge, fat book.
big enough that everyone could sleep inside as they recounted the birth of our beloved world. And this beginning happened the first time that someone started giving birth to hundreds and thousands and millions of books. And then more books, always more books.
Enough books to build a house.
Enough books to make a building.
Enough books to construct whole neighborhoods.
Enough books for a city,
Enough books for a world.
Books and more books came out of their body and kept coming at an incredible rhythm that no one could or wanted to stop. And while birthing all of these books in the halo of the Cloaca Maxima, this person said,
It's no longer possible to make us believe that all of these books don't exist.
Stop
making us think that your books are our books. Our books are not your books.
Stop
trying to write inside of my book.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
And
Stop
making us think that all of these stories don't exist either.
These stories exist.
They exist. Look and look harder. They are falling out of my nose. They are falling out of my mouth. They are falling out of my ass. So many stories bursting from being hidden, eliminated, erased. They can't take being closeted any longer. They want to bring out all of the books of every possible world. Books about desires that learn to fly. Books about pain that evaporates. Books about pleasures that multiply. Books about bodies that want and that can scream towards the future. That can learn, sleep, and always love more, always fight more. So, when the books come rushing out all at once from the biggest forest and the smallest shelves,
Listen to them.